Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina and I make videos about living in my tiny house on wheels and living a more intentional life. Today is Wednesday, which means it's recipe day. I actually have a kid who's sick. My youngest has got the flu, just the regular flu. He has been tested for the Rona. And so I'm going to do what I always do when one of my kidlets is sick. I'm going to feed them. So I'm going to make my chickpea noodle soup. When I was a kid and I got sick, my mom always made me chicken noodle soup, homemade chicken noodle soup. And now I have adapted the recipe and I use the chickpeas for the protein part. It's really hearty, it's got lots of veggies, and it always makes them feel better, probably because mom has made it for them. So if that is a recipe that you would like to see, stay tuned. Okay, here's what you're going to need for this recipe. You're going to need some veggie bouillon, whichever one that you've got. A couple of bay leaves, some sweet or smoked paprika. I prefer sweet, but I only have smoked. Italian seasonings, some onion powder, some garlic powder or minced garlic. I'm going to use minced garlic. If you're using fresh garlic, you probably want about 3 decent sized cloves. Some poultry seasoning, some olive oil to saute in, and some chickpeas. I like the no salt added ones. And once you open these, give them a good rinse. 3 decent sized carrots. These are quite large ones. 2 stalks of celery. I only have these 3 small, kind of pathetic ones, but that's what I'm going to use. 1 cup of frozen peas and 1 medium sized onion. And then you're going to need some noodles. You can make this with like these orzo noodles for soup, but I kind of like breaking up linguine or spaghetti into my noodle soup. And then you just need the basics: cutting board, something to peel your carrots, a knife, cutting board, measuring spoon, and a cup to make your stock. Just use any kind of stock pot that you have. What I'm going to do right now is put my hair back, and I'm going to dice my onions, carrots, and celery into nice little pieces, but you don't need to watch me do that, so I'll be back as soon as I've done that. So I've got all my veggies diced, my carrots, and my onions and celery. Now I'm going to add the onions and celery first and let them sweat down a little bit before I add my carrots. And then we're going to mix everything else in. So let's go over to the stove and I'll show you what I do. First thing I'm going to do is turn my stove on. Make sure I got the right burner. And I'm going to add a tablespoon or 2 of oil into my stock pot or Dutch oven in this case. This is a 6-quart Dutch oven. We're going to see if I manage not to overfill it. Fairly often when I'm cooking, I overfill my Dutch oven, but I have hopes for today. Just gonna let that warm up. Now that the oil's hot, I'm gonna add in my onions and my celery. And I'm just gonna saute that a little bit until it softens up. Just a little. You know what? This pot isn't going to be big enough. And we're back with a bigger pot. So just make sure you get a big enough pot for about, I don't know, 10 cups of soup. So that's sweated down a little bit. And now I'm going to add the carrots and the spices. 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning, to give it that traditional taste. You can really use any spices that you want, but these are the ones that my mom used and the ones that I like to use. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 2 teaspoons of garlic, minced garlic. You can, like I say, mince your own garlic, or you could use a teaspoon of garlic powder, not garlic salt. We're going to wait and add salt at the very end. A couple of bay leaves. Now just stir that around so that the spices get a little toasted. And let that saute for another couple minutes. I just put the lid on. Alright, so now it's time to add our other ingredients. I'm going to add the 1 cup of frozen peas, or fresh if you have them. What I've done is I have rinsed and drained my chickpeas. I'm going to put these in pretty much whole, but I do kind of want to mash them a little bit, just a little, not a lot, just to sort of soften some of them. Alright, so you can see that some of them are a little softer, a little mashed up, but you don't want to mash this up like hummus or anything like that. But I find that mashing them a little bit gives it a softer texture. So we're going to add those in there. And now you want 8 cups of broth. I have mixed up enough for the soup. The only thing we're missing now is the pasta. And you want about 1 cup of pasta. Again, you could use something like orzo, macaroni shells, bow ties, anything that you really want. But I kind of like the way it is with sort of flat noodles. So I'll usually use either spaghetti or linguine, something like that. So take about a, I don't know, quarter-sized bunch in your hand if you're using these. And then I just break them in there into bite-sized pieces. Now is the time to give it a taste and see if it needs salt. And definitely we want to add pepper. Yep, it definitely needs salt. So now I'm going to turn this down to just a low simmer, and I'm going to let it simmer for as long as it takes for that pasta to cook. All right, it's been simmering for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. What I was looking for were the carrots being done. And so now what you want to do is pull out these bay leaves. You do not want to eat the bay leaves, which you probably know already, but just in case you don't. So this has gotten fairly thick. You can always add more broth if you want it thinner, but I like a really hearty, almost stew-like consistency to my soup. Now this is for my kid, like I said, but I'm going to give it a taste because, well, you should always taste your food. Let's give this a try. So, try and cool this off. That's so good. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you usually put in your soup. I will see you on the weekend for another video.